Welcome to the RotoWire Fantasy Baseball Podcast, brought to you by Circa, and got a fun episode tonight. Got my friend Jake Halusker from the High Stakes Heat Pod, if you know, you know, and also from several leagues that we've played in together, most notably the Too Early Meatball League, which has been the talk of the fantasy industry of the past couple of weeks. But Jake and I are going to look at some sophomore ADP, if you will. Some of these guys won't have exhausted their rookie eligibility heading into next year, but they're all either guys who entered the season as rookies or are still currently rookies, and they all got drafted in the first 225 picks of that Too Early Meatball draft. And so Jake and I are going to look at these guys because, you know, when you've shown this level of upside, but you also have this lack of a track record, these are the types of guys that could really sort of swing leagues the following season. So good to kind of just see where we think the market is at and should be at on these guys. But first, Jake, how you doing, man?
I'm great, James. I appreciate you having me on. You're welcome to the industry for all this free content. Thanks to Rob DiPietro for putting the draft together to give everybody something else to talk about other than how bad Vlad Guerrero Jr. is and all that good stuff in these next few weeks. I know you've probably heard a decent amount about it, but I think everybody knows now this isn't a mock draft, unlike what people thought 3 years ago. And I'm glad to talk about a lot of guys that are, you know, under a year of service time and are going to continue to make big impact next year. So there's a lot of names to go over.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure, you know, loyal listeners are almost tired of me talking about how good this rookie class is, but it is a historic rookie class, just in the way that so many of these guys at least like met expectations or came close to meeting expectations or exceeded expectations. Like it's usually a lot of the opposite of that, you know, but this class really kind of delivered. And, you know, let's just start with Konnor Griffin going at the 1-2 turn, pick 16 in the Too Early. I think it basically, from the podcast I listened to and just the room reaction, it seemed like half of the second round was planning on Konnor Griffin being their second round pick. So I don't really think, like, I think he would have to really struggle. You'd have to come back and really struggle to fall further than this in terms of like an ADP type of thing. How comfortable would you be like in one of your high stakes auctions or, you know, a main event starting with Griffin at the 1-2 turn next year?
I'll tell you, it's probably not my thing. I don't fault Domrello for doing it. It's not like he was going to get him back. As you said, the half the room was going to take him in the second round. So taking him at 16, 15, whatever you want to call it, you know, I don't blame the guy. He's one of the few dudes that has 60 steal upside and doesn't also have the batting average risk that a guy like Ellie has. So is it my kind of thing to do? Probably not. But, you know, I reserve the right to change that viewpoint when it gets to March. We had a lot of safe picks in the first and second round this year, and a lot of those safe picks didn't exactly deliver what we expected. So why not take a guy that looks pretty safe and also has a lot of upside? And I can totally see doing it. Probably not enough power for me at the beginning of a draft, but nothing wrong with it. I don't blame him.
Did you see that tweet from Ryan Bloomfield of the dollars earned for the top 30? And then I think Scott Jenstad replied that like not a single player from the first two rounds has even returned top 30 value.
I heard Ryan talking about it on his most recent show with Bubba, but I didn't actually see the tweet. But it doesn't surprise me because every guy that we pegged for $30 value, at least the ones that I have, haven't been delivering it.
Yeah. So, you know, and I think the fact that he will, you know, potentially be going sort of at that 1-2 turn area takes away some potential really nice pairings that you might get. Like, you know, like if you started with Jordan or Judge or Junior Caminero or someone like that in the first
Yeah.
round. Like Griffin is just such a nice option there. Maybe that's more of like an auction way you could go, but
sure.
just doesn't seem like he'll be there to pair with those guys, those 4 category studs. Like Jordan went pick 9. Soto's like another guy. You never know how much speed you're going to get from him. He went pick 7. Like James Wood even pick 6. Caminero pick 5. Judge pick 4. Like all really good players to pair Griffin with, but he will probably not be there. Maybe in the 12 team OCs, actually, you could probably do something like that.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Jordan went at 9 to Bob Osgood in this. I certainly can see a scenario where more pitching goes early in March, and somebody like Griffin does end up falling to 20 or 23 or something like that. It could happen.
Yeah, and Jordan's like
auction's the ideal place to do something like that. You allocate your dollars properly and skip the 3rd round and get a couple guys that are low 20s, and then you're fine.
So the second rookie taken, Sal Stewart, he's got the 1st and 3rd eligibility. Probably not going to get 2nd. He would need 12 more games at 2nd to get the try eligibility, which would be really, really nice for him. But I saw that Sal got his 100th ribby today.
Yep.
Pretty solid for a rookie season. I think a lot of people are surprised. Bubba went with Sal in the 2nd round. Definitely one of those picks where, like, I don't know what his ADP is going to be. Like, maybe it's mid-2nd. Maybe it's like I don't know where we're going to be by the middle of drafting season on Sal Stewart. I feel much better about like Konnor Griffin likely being kind of at that 1-2 turn, but bringing a lot to the table from a category standpoint. What do you think about Stewart? Sort of in this kind of, we'll say like mid to late 2nd, maybe even like early 3rd kind of range.
Yeah, I think that's where he's going to settle, probably back end of the 2nd. But it's a lot of it's because of how just absolutely deep first base is. He's 3rd also. We still have a solid amount of third basemen that are going to go in the 4 to 6 range, probably round wise. So I think he'll settle a little further back. But again, Bubba wasn't getting him. Somebody would have taken him before then. And there's still a little bit more average upside in there too. I mean, he's only hitting 263 this year, but the BABIP is under 300, so there might be a little bit more in there. Despite his fly ball tendencies, he still hits a decent amount of ground balls, so that could bounce up a little. Gosh, I hate saying safe, but this is a young guy who looks pretty darn safe. Safe's been a nasty term for the first 2 rounds this year, but I can see myself doing this one too, especially if I have like a 4 pick or something, and I want to start with a Bobby Witt or even a James Wood or somebody that would maybe having a little bit lower average, and I would want somebody like Stewart to kind of back that up with a little bit of average upside.
Yeah, like a 263 average. You and I have been playing long enough where that was like not going to move the needle much for your batting average, but like that's definitely plus right now, and he could be better next year. How close do you think Stewart and like Miguel Vargas are? Because I think that they might get compared a decent amount, just given the 1st and 3rd and the kind of the double-digit steals you're getting out of the dual eligible guys there. Like I definitely prefer Stewart because I think Vargas is so extreme on the fly balls that I think it'd be tough for him to get to that batting average area. But like, you think it's like a clear Stewart there?
Yeah, that's exactly it. I don't see any average upside for Vargas, especially since he's extremely patient, and that even reduces the amount of ABs that he's going to be able to bump up your average if he does spike a good average year. BABIP is probably going to be consistently 260 for a lot of his career with his extreme fly ball lean. I mean, he's a 50% fly ball guy. It's hard to run a even average BABIP with that. So yeah, definitely a Stewart for me. They have the same eligibility, so that doesn't change anything.
Now, Kevin McGonigle was my pick, 6th pick of the 3rd round in this. So 36 will be McGonigle's ADP, I suppose. He's got the shortstop 3rd, which is certainly even better than the first 3rd. You threw out the safe word with Sal Stewart. I feel like McGonigle is, most people would call him safe. I think some people this offseason might even,
safe.
Yeah, I think some people might kind of make a case against him having upside this offseason, or I would just be very careful looking at his 14 homers this year and thinking that he's just a given to kind of be a less than 20 homer guy. Like, he's just got such a good hit tool. I think he's going to kind of go the route of like an Altuve or, whatever, like Lindor, Jose Ramirez, that type of thing, where it's just more power than anyone thought. And he'll show that in his early 20s. But
and
still
it's coming already. Yeah.
I think the steals is honestly the thing I'm almost more worried about, is like he might be just kind of like a 15 steal guy.
And that's fine. If he bumps it up to, mid 20s, I don't see any way that he hits below 275. Like, he's more than holding his own this year, and that's with a pretty high fly ball percentage, and he's got a BABIP over 300, 308 BABIP. I mean, I hate that my Guardians are going to have to face this kid for at least a decade in our division, because he looks as polished as I feel I've ever seen a rookie hitter. He looks incredible. Every time he comes to the plate in a clutch situation, it seems like he drives somebody in. The power's increased in the second half. He's already got 6 homers in the second half since the All-Star game. So it's coming on already. The hard hit rate's going up. It's up like 6% in the second half. I really do see him, even in that crap park. Average is going to be great. Power is going to get over 20 next year. And 15 steals is fine. Yeah, he's corner middle, so you're going to be able to move him around a ton. Another guy that I would love to build an auction team with, because you can move him around pretty easily as you're building the team, and he's going to deliver you probably 4.5 categories or 4 at the least. Probably not going to have more than like 75 RBI, but that's still a great start, or a great guy to start with.
Yeah, I mean, he's almost like too expensive to sort of be talked about like this, but he is just sort of that perfect auction or DC, I think, just kind of piece to start things off with, because it just gives you that corner middle plus the batting average. Like, it's just a really nice combo. And like you're to your point, like he just doesn't, very, very few swings that I would say are like bad swings. And this guy skipped AAA. Like he's got like a infield fly ball rate under 8%. Just really, really professional at bats. And what do you think about the ADP though? Like, I got him at pick 36. Do you think that's kind of where he'll end up?
I mean, we talked on the draft about how, shortstop is kind of dwindling in that top talent. And we, third base is always kind of like that. So the fact that he can go for both of those, I don't see him falling very far past the beginning of the 4th. Honestly, I think you took him right about where he's going to settle. I hate to be, so complacent with everything so far, but like there's no question about this kid's ability. It's not there's no, it's not even a health risk in his history. So
and I mean he went to the fall league, but like 46 games at AA, 0 games at AAA. Really, really impressive. Okay, so another guy that I took, the prospect guy taking prospects, classic. Samuel Basallo, pick 55. I actually had him like kind of right there with Baldwin and Langoliers going into the draft. Think the power potential is off the charts, and not a guy that's gonna hurt the batting average. I don't think he might not be a plus per se, but just seemed like the right, like a potential low point in his value. But I mean, I guess if he were to kind of scuffle down the stretch here, maybe he's more of like a 5th or 6th round guy. But 22-year-old, just turned 22 years old, lefty hitting catcher Samuel Basallo has 17 homers in 333 plate appearances this year.
I think the only thing that's going to hold or potentially hold him back from this price is that shoulder. I am so confused as to what's actually going on. Like Albanese mentioned it as this thing that he's constantly dealing with and managing, and it finally put him on the IL. I don't know how I feel about it. I tend to be pretty risk averse health wise, and I'm going to need to see him play the rest of the season and come back in the spring and not have, people questioning his ramp up time or how slowly he's going. I don't know. I don't doubt the talent. I don't doubt that he's probably a 30 homer bat next year. They got rid of Rutschman. He's signed. He's playing. He's a middle of the order guy. If it weren't for the shoulder, I'd be all aboard with this. But there's so many catchers, I might pass on him just if he's going here. I don't know.
Yeah, so I mean, like, you sort of sounds like you would like to, like, could he, like, by the way that he plays down the stretch, like, alleviate your concerns, or do you need to see him like in spring training, like hitting and all that stuff?
That's probably it. I mean, even if he makes it through the whole rest of the season, it's only a month, and I just need to see the shoulder not be a thing that we talk about.
Yep.
So if I'm doing DCs in November, I'm probably shying away, but that could all change come February, March.
Yeah, no, that definitely makes sense. And I mean, I wasn't sure how catcher was going to go in this thing at all. Like, but I mean, there were some, well, we actually might get to one, but like there were some values that, like, looking at the board in hindsight, like I would maybe trade my Basallo for like a 10th round Jeffers or like a 9th round Carter Jensen, who we'll talk about in a bit.
Yeah.
Munetaka Murakami, not necessarily a rookie in the same way that some of these guys are, but our first look at Murakami, he goes, sneaks into that 4th round there, pick 57. You mentioned the depth at first base. I'll be honest, I wasn't even looking at first base at this point in the draft, but what did you think about that one?
Yeah, it's early for me. I don't like taking guys that have this much average downside this early. So, his strikeout rate's gone up. The power has gone down since he's come back from injury. He's pushing a 35% strikeout rate now. There are a couple guys that can succeed like that, but I'm not convinced he's going to be one of them. He was having a great season up until he got injured, and that it could be just the injury dragging him down. It could be the league finally figuring him out and not giving him as much to hit over the wall, because he's another guy that's not going to give you a high BABIP, have high BABIP luck. So the average ceiling is probably like 260 if in a spike year.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. If he was a catcher, I'd be interested at a certain point, but it's first base is just ridiculously loaded. I've talked about it past week's pods when discussing the meatball draft, but like Wilson Contreras as like the first pick of the 6th, like Freddie Freeman, Alec Burleson, Royce Lewis, Rafael Devers, all in the 9th. Like it's just loaded. So
yeah, Stowers got first eligibility. Bowers looks like he's finally real. O'Hearn has blown up. Like there's so many, and these are all hindsight from this season. Oh, these guys all look great. They might not next year, but there's just so many options. I'm not willing to take a guy, even though he's pushing like a 60% hard hit rate. I mean, do barrels the crap out of the ball, but he also has a 60% contact rate, and he swings and misses 16% of the time. That's, there's not a lot of margin for error in that.
Yeah. I mean, and I don't know. I mean, there was a time when I always thought Kyle Schwarber was going to hit like below 230, and I never took him. And then every year where you would hit like 245, like he was like a league winner because everyone thought he was going to hit 30. But it's just about the position with me. But I understand like power is the tough thing to find, it seems, in a way that it hadn't always been in the past like 5 years.
And look at our third round. I mean, that was where a lot of the power that was left went, the power that didn't have as much concern. Your Kurtz, your Rice, your Langoliers, right. Alonso, Olsen, like all those guys just went. So I could see, well, and Ryan Roof did take Kurtz before that. So he was, man, look at that power star. I'm looking at it now. Judge, Baldwin, Kurtz, Murakami. Well, that's.
Yeah. And I mean, Judge, Baldwin, Kurtz, even like all those guys could be way up there positional batting average wise. So
yeah, so it could buoy him for sure.
All right, let's head to a quick break. But when we come back, we're going to get into some of the first pitchers that we're going to discuss. Payton Tolle, Logan Henderson, Kade Anderson, Nolan McLean. Stay tuned to the RotoWire Fantasy Baseball Podcast. Circa 8 and Circa Survivor are going big for the 2026 football season with $30 million in guaranteed prizes. Cash in this football season in Las Vegas with 3 Circa Sports Contests. Entries starting at $1,000 with no rake. Circa Million, 18 weeks of point spread action, 128 ways to win. Winner takes home $1 million. Circa Survivor, pick one winner each week. Last one standing wins $20 million to the guaranteed winners. Circa Grandissimo, a massive contest with a $100,000 entry. Enter in Nevada, play from anywhere, $30 million guaranteed. Visit circasports.com/contests for details. All right, Jake. Well, I took Payton Tolle in this thing. Pick 66, so 6th pick of the 5th round. Tolle is essentially my strikeout ace in this build, backing up Yoshinobu Yamamoto. So I'm hoping for a large portion of strikeouts here. And I will say I was between Tolle and Garrett Cole with this pick. Garrett Cole went 4 picks later to Bubba. What do you think about Payton Tolle this year? And, 5th round, maybe aggressive, but just generally, what do you think about him?
It's aggressive, sure, but I don't think there's anything egregious about it, because I think this is where he's going to end up going. The guys that came around him have question marks. You got your Zach Wheeler health, Drew Rasmussen. Can he continue to defy the 3 TJS odds and stay healthy? Cole looks like Cole again, but he's also aging. Skeens, God knows what was going on. So if I'm going to take an early ace, I want it to be generally somebody that is younger, has a strikeout tendency, and if at all possible, left-handed. And I've been prioritizing the lefties this year a lot more. And
Same.
I love Tolle. I'm very upset that Boston played around with him in the beginning of the year because it didn't make me draft him, and the people that did draft him held him. So that was pretty disappointing because I have none this year, and I definitely am missing out. Kade Walk looks great.
I remember telling DuPont in Vegas, like they were messing up by not breaking camp with Tolle, and he was like, "No, man, it's the way to go. Got to get that ear control." I'm like, "No way, man. Need Payton Tolle up," and took too long. But once he got rolling, good things started happening.
They had a lot of arms. You know, they were prioritizing Oviedo too because they had acquired him, and I don't think he had any options left. So I kind of see why. But
they put these roadblocks that were like unnecessary. They like unnecessarily put up roadblocks in front of him.
That's kind of what they do. They do it with their hitters too. You know, they had a long history of Cora would platoon all those lefty bats, even though like Willie Abreu looked ready, Devers looked ready. They would platoon those guys early on. So they did like to do that kind of thing. I don't know if that was a Cora thing or what, or Breslow or whomever, but yeah, totally looks the part. Dude, when you got a lefty that can throw 96 and not walk dudes, like, sign me up. I'm all about it.
Yeah. Well, you're preaching to the choir, obviously, since I took him. Carson Benge, pick 87. Definitely someone I was eyeing up in this exercise. Kind of looks like a 2020 guy next year. What do you think about Benge?
Yeah, guy I have a lot of this year because his role was still kind of, to me, it looked pretty secure, but it was still uncertain by the way they were doing things. And there were some times this year that they probably could have moved on from him early on, and they didn't. Same with Beatty, except Benge continued to like grow, and Beatty stagnated again. Yeah, I love Benge. Profiles as the kind of guy that I want to build with outfield wise at this range of the draft too. He looks like an Urena type, and I am all about that. That's a guy that I draft consistently every year, and combo dudes that can go 20-20 at positions that are not as deep as everybody thinks. You know, having him as your outfield too, I'm pretty comfortable with that. And he showed that he adjusted this year as it went along, consistently stole bases even when he wasn't hitting for power early on, and now he's hitting for power and just a fixture in the lineup. And they're going to get rid of some more dead weight this offseason, so he's a central figure in the middle of that lineup.
Yeah, it reminds me of like Marlins Christian Yelich a little bit. Kade Anderson, you know, we knew he was going to go fairly early in this thing. Pick 88. I thought he looked pretty good in his debut, even though the numbers weren't like amazing.
Yeah, first 4 innings he was great. You know,
doesn't have like the gas that Tolle does, but is left-handed, has all the pitches you could want, has all the command you could want, all the pitchability you could want. Great home park, but I don't know. Pick 88. What do you think?
It's certainly early. I wasn't going to do it there in this draft. I did have him on my list for like the 9th or 10th round if he fell that far. I didn't think he was going to. I typically don't like taking a lot of pitching in this meatball draft just because we're doing it so early. I try to limit my starters. So I definitely wasn't going to take one that as my ace that wasn't assured a role for next year, and we'd seen one major league start. Now, that said, another lefty, extremely polished. Like you said, pitch mix is full, pitchability's there. You know, I'm excited to see him this year, but I'm not drafting him there yet. We'll see how he finishes the year. They're going to make room for him now that they've brought him up. They already got rid of Castillo. There's a lot of health concerns with guys like Bryce Miller, and I'm not ready yet to put him in there as a back end ace type guy yet, but the opportunity is there for him to take that as we close the season out.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely won't be not drafting him based off of a concern about his opportunity going into the year. But like there is just the lack of sample size is something to consider. And I'm like, they have all the incentive in the world to break camp with him in the rotation, try to make a run for rookie of the year next year. So,
and they've had no lefties in that rotation like ever. So
yeah,
it would make, I mean, and Wu and Miller, like I said, massive health concerns. They could feasibly trade one of those guys. They could try to unload Hancock because he's shown that his arsenal's pretty limited and he kind of hit a wall. So they'll make room for him. I don't doubt that. It's more, is he absolutely ready to be a guy that you take as your at worst SP2? That's a lot.
So Nolan McLean at pick 93. This actually might be my favorite pick we've talked about so far. McLean was, I mean, he was definitely my best pitcher available, but maybe my best player available for like 10, 15 picks or so. I just didn't want to take a third starter, so I just kept letting him slide. But yeah, I thought Nolan McLean in the 7th round was really solid. He entered this year like barely a rookie, so we don't have to spend much time on him. But where do you see his ADP settling?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like this was later than he was going in March. I was taking him as an SP2 in December, January DCs. He showed it. Like the strikeout rate continued to be really solid. I don't have any questions left. Like, walk rate is a little iffy, but it's a second year pitcher that held his own, went through a little bit of struggle this year and came out of it smelling like a rose. I hadn't taken any pitchers yet by this point, but this was the round that I had him and Hunter Brown and Parker Messick on my radar. So I probably would have taken McLean if Phil had let him get back to me, but did not happen.
Yeah, I probably would have too at that point. I would have probably taken him as my SP.
Well, you said you had him on your board as your top guys.
And then I was just extra annoyed that Phil got him. It was like when the room let Steve get Yandy last year. I think it was like the 10th round or something, and like Steve needed Yandy so bad, and like everyone just let him get him. And then Phil getting McLean this year felt kind of like that. Not that Phil needed.
He didn't need him. Yeah, his rotation was
but it gave him this like sledgehammer of starting pitching to wield against.
Well, when you could back up your SP3 of Kade Anderson with Nolan McLean, that's pretty good, I guess.
Right. So Parker Messick, you mentioned first of several Guardians we'll discuss. Another lefty. Just I was way too low on Messick coming into the year, but I mean, even the people that loaded up on Messick are just laughing to the bank on this rookie season. What do you think he does for an encore?
Oh, he's such a dog. I wish I were one of those people laughing to the bank. I'm laughing a little bit, but I'm also laughing at myself for believing that we would keep Logan Allen over him, because that's been, I say the Guardians' MO for the last decade is to continue to block guys like you mentioned with the Red Sox. I stopped drafting Messick in December because I just felt like the writing was on the wall, and then he was going too early for me. But I actually took Messick in the meatball last year. I don't know, I feel like 18th round or something like that. So I'm benefiting from him there. But the only other league I really have him in is my 2,500 Super League in Vegas. So, and that's only because it was finally pretty clear that they were going to keep him, and I prioritized buying him in the auction. I actually paid up to get him to make sure I had him, so I had a share that I could actually like really appreciate and root for. And thank God I did, because I'd be really pissed off. Lefty, the velo's going up. He's throwing the fastball more, which I kind of like, because he's locating it so well. I watched so many of his innings, and God, it's fun to watch how pinpoint his fastball location has become. And the change looks good. He's got all the parts to continue to do this, and he just needs his manager to give him a little bit more leash, and I think he's earning that with this season. The vote loves pulling him when things get a little rough in the sixth, and it just drives me nuts because they haven't been giving him any run support this year, which is killer. But are they giving anybody run support? Yeah, I'm like I said, I was considering him in the seventh. I'm all about it. I love taking early lefties with strikeout ability that have velo to back it up.
Yeah, man, he is a total dog. I wish I had just kept riding him as a prospect. I just felt like he was walking a few too many guys. Velo was, low 90s, but like I just always admired his competitiveness out there, and definitely missed the boat on that this year. Man, 102 though. Like, so SP? I guess there it's kind of like a cheap SP2 or a high-end SP3.
Yeah,
that seems about right. I mean,
I think it's fair. I mean, you got guys that go after him that certainly have more track record, like a Sandy or a Freed, Joe Ryan. So I can see the argument for taking those guys instead of him. But then there are a lot of other guys that win in that same area that I just want no part of. So if I'm taking him as an SP2, honestly, he could be my SP1, because if I do that, I'm taking like 3 in a row. I'm taking 3 of those guys in that range. So it's kind of interchangeable. He's a 1, 2, 3, depending on what order you take him in. But yeah, I'm fine with it. He's young. I got no health concerns. Like I said, I like building with guys that are lefties that are young and have no health concerns.
So Joshua Baez at pick 106, almost kind of inevitably was going to be like a pick that this was either going to be like too high or too low. I don't know. Maybe it settles like early 100s, but like I feel like he's either just going to, hit 10 homers over the rest of the season and go inside the top 100, or strike out too much and go outside the top 150. Like, what do you think?
Yeah, I think it's going to be the latter, just from what we're seeing so far. The strikeout rate's creeped pretty high. He's only had 1 homer since that first game. We'll see. We'll see if the Cardinals leave him in there the rest of the way. They're another team that like to continue to rotate a bunch of middling guys around, and maybe Wynn's injury, getting another bat out of the lineup, even though it's a different position, will keep him in there. But this is one I got to watch, because I tend to see it going to the average downside point. Maybe not 150 the rest of the way, but if he's got a 35% K at the end of the season and he's hitting 200, there's no way I'm going to think about it.
I feel like this has to be part of the plan. I guess I'm not that worried about them pulling playing time in like a drastic way, just because, like, why not just find out get more info on like what you have in him. You kept him.
You already sold. Yeah.
Time, like, and you're not exhausting his rookie eligibility. But yeah, I would probably guess that his ADP is more, kind of in that like 175 range ish, 200.
Yeah.
But who knows? Like, every week could swing things with Baez there. Carter Jensen, who I mentioned, pick 124, drafted as a catcher 1, kind of a low-endish catcher 1. No problem with that at all. I thought that was a really good pick. Early 9th round. Cal Raleigh has hit 4 homers since Steve took him, or at least like maybe 5-6 homers. I don't know if he hit more,
might be.
But like, Jensen, frankly, I would take Jensen, I think, over Liam Hicks and Adley Rutschman, maybe, who went ahead of him. I really like. I'm annoyed that Moreno went as high as he did in the 7th round. I'm interested to sort of see how this cluster of like low end catcher ones, the ADP, settles. But I like Jensen in the 9th.
Yeah, I don't like taking catchers really early unless I can get them at a discount in an auction. So this is kind of the range that I like to take my catcher one. There is a little bit of average downside with him just because of how much he leans fly ball, but in that park, that should help him with BABIP a little bit. All those guys, like, I don't know. Do you believe that Rutschman's going to be an average asset? Do you believe that Hicks is going to repeat this with Tampa next year? So he's one of those guys that I'm going to look to start building with, just because at least the power floor I know is there, and Sal's not playing catcher anymore, so he's probably going to completely stop platooning too. Jensen is. So I see him as one of those guys that can push 600 PAs from the catcher position. So it's a guy I like to go for.
And Sam Antonacci, pick 126. This was another of mine. I've already said on the show that I think this was a reach. This was my least favorite of my own picks, which is saying something considering I like Sam Antonacci a lot, and I took Roki Sasaki, and I don't really like Roki Sasaki at all, but just felt like I could tell when I took him that he would have fallen a few more rounds, maybe a couple more rounds, or at least that was kind of my read when I took him. Part of it was, maybe too much of it was maybe the second base outfield eligibility with Antonacci. But I do sort of see just a lot of similarities to like a Bryson Stott with him. So I don't think it's like going to sink me or anything, but I just think I took him too early there.
Well, second base does change things. It's not. I don't think it's egregiously early. Do I think he's going to go before Horner and Brandon Lau come normal draft season? Probably not. But that's honestly, a lot of it is just I think Venable is going to keep messing around with him against lefties, and it drives me crazy because he's sitting or hitting 8th against a lot of them, and it's just really annoying to own right now. So I don't like taking guys that I think have platoon risks that early, but we know how weak second base is, and he's hitting for more power than I expected. I did not see. I thought it was going to be a 5-homer, 20 steal pickup for me when I got him in a couple auctions. I probably would lean on him on looking at him a couple rounds later, but it's really the platoon risk for me.
Yeah, 100%. Like that's what it is for me too. I think I took him because of it was the second base and just the fact that I think he's really good, and I just think he could definitely pay this off if he was just given enough playing time. But like I said, don't like the pick, even though I was the one who made it.
And we don't know what the roster will look like. They clearly are on the up, so maybe they realize that he is one of their best hitters and leave him alone. Who knows? Venable seems like one of those guys that's extremely analytically driven. So, that's why I have my concerns.
AJ Ewing, actually a guy that I was considering when I took Antonacci, pick 144, definite speed source. He's got 19 steals in 91 games, has another 17 steals in 30 games at AAA, or 30 games in the minors this year. I think he's like, I think even the 7 homers he's hit this year would surprise people who are like lowest on him as a prospect. I think he reminds me just a lot of Antonacci, and just in the sense that these are guys who are going to hit for like mid-teens homers instead of single-digit homers, and that's a big deal. But what do you think about this price for kind of a guy that you're basically drafting Ewing, hoping you're getting like 35 steals out of him?
Yeah, and I think with full time he will get to that point. I think the power is still I don't know. It's questionable to me. But really, I think there's average upside here. He's still only pulling a 244 average, but he's got good contact rates. BABIP is extremely. It's weird. It's a 322 BABIP, 323 BABIP for this average, but I think the disparity is extremely confusing because I don't see a high fly ball rate. I just see I see a lot of ground balls and a lot of line drives that probably are. I don't know. I don't know. I guess I'm rambling here because it doesn't make sense. I guess I'm trying to say I'm really confused by it, and
yeah,
I mean it should be a lot better.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, I the thing I've always liked about Ewing is that he actually tries to pull the ball and he's not intentionally hitting the ball on the ground. Like I think a lot of these types of guys with his physical tools are just dumping the ball the opposite way on the ground. He's like trying to pull the ball. Yeah, I mean, I think he's eventually going to be an asset in every category except homers and RBI. And it's just a question of how much he's hurting you there.
Yeah, and it's build dependent, as everybody loves to hear. But at this point, when you're in the 10th round, it really is starting to become build dependent. So if you've built a good power base, he is a nice guy to add on because there is growth potential here. He's hitting the ball hard. He's pulling it, like you said. He's got over a 40% hard hit, which is not rabbit-like. So, there could be 15 homer upside in that bat with a couple years.
So Bryce Eldridge, another one of my picks. This is the only draft I do. I swear, like people are just laughing at all the prospects I've taken. Like this is the only draft where I end up with prospects because this room hates prospects typically, especially like, as early as we're drafting. But I end up with Bryce Eldridge here. He is first base eligible. Had completely shed the platoon.
Yep.
Obviously hits the crap out of the ball. Bad home park, but I think for his age, like a 6'7" guy who hits the ball as hard as he does to be 21 years old and not overmatched is just really impressive.
Yeah, he's got the power to overcome the park, and the K rate has gone down. They're not going to platoon him. The lineup is total garbage after him. I saw the lineup they put out today with him on the.
I couldn't believe that. I thought that was AI.
Oh my God! And they scored 9 runs, and then they lost. Yeah, absolutely no problem with this. Where do you find 40 homer upside without a 210 average floor? I think with how hard he hits the ball, even though it's a decent amount of fly, it's not too much that it's gonna instantly give him a 260 BABIP. He's running a 315 BABIP, and it's a fly ball rate that's under 40% and a good hard hit rate, and he's not whiffing this year. So yeah, the growth is already happening. Power is so hard to find late that this is a guy that's going to fit on a lot of people's builds at that point.
Yeah, and another example of the depth of first base.
Yeah, yeah, they're all going at this point. There's so many of them.
Right. Yeah, it was in between rounds 9 and like the middle of round 10. Royce Lewis, Burleson, Freeman, Devers, Luis Garcia, Curtis Mead, and Bryce Eldridge. And then in round 10, another Guardian, Chase DeLauter. Steve Weimer gets Chase DeLauter, so I'm sure that'll anchor his price, barring another lower body injury or something like that. But what do you think about DeLauter here?
Yeah, again, that's the question. I have so much cheap DeLauter this year. He was rivaling my top owned bats, and that's because you can get him in round 20, or in the auctions in Vegas I had him for $2 on both my big auctions, and I love him. The skills are amazing. Dude doesn't even swing fully, and he still crushes the ball. It's really just health, and he's had so many foot injuries, and it's hard to pay this kind of price. I know I will at some point, but he's definitely not going to be one of my most owned guys this year, and it's crushing because I do believe he's a real legitimate stud hitter. It's just there's a lot of outfielders that I like that went between rounds 9 and 12, and I'm probably going to end up with a nice mixture of a lot of these guys.
Yeah, I think the most surprising thing to me about DeLauter, other than the fact he stayed healthy for the most part, is the 9 steals.
Yeah, and they've a lot of them have been in the last month.
Oh yeah, that's interesting. Because I mean, it made sense to me to not run him at all.
Right.
Because why would you want to have him pull his hamstring stealing the base?
Right.
But yeah, I mean, like if he's more of a 4.5 category guy, or even like a borderline 5 category guy, I think that makes looking past the durability stuff make a bit more sense to me.
Yeah, it makes a ton of contact. There's so many things to like here. Just a consistent presence at the top of the lineup. And again, the lineup is so bad, that's where he's going to be. 2-3 pretty much every day he's in there.
Cole Carrigg, I mean, what a he's such a wild prospect. He got drafted as a guy that was going to play catcher, play shortstop, and play center field. Hasn't caught in a while, but he's actually played 9 games at shortstop this year in the big leagues, and wouldn't completely rule out him adding that before the end of the year, but it might take a bit of a push. But definitely a impact defender for the Rockies, and hasn't stolen quite as many bases as his minor league frequency would have maybe portended, but I think the projection systems will like Carrigg to be like a 20+ steal guy. I think the defense is really key to highlight with him, because the Rockies just have like 5 or 6 outfielders. It's like, I don't know who's going to play necessarily, but I feel like his glove at least gives him a chance.
Yeah, that was one of this one was mine. This was what, round 11?
Oh yeah.
Middle of round 11. This one's me. This is the first one of mine. The only thing that's surprised me about him since I picked him up is how little he's been stealing. But really, it seems like Schaefer's MO. Like, there a lot of these guys, other than McCarthy, they're really not running as much as you would want. Castro stopped running this year. Moniak has a few, but he hasn't run in probably a good 2 months. And Carrigg I picked him up for steals most importantly, and I'm not really getting them. But that defense is keeping him in there. Tovar's terrible. Despite his recent couple homers, he's so bad, and he's ARB eligible finally. And I don't know. Maybe they keep him because they're the Rockies and they like to have as many guys as possible to interchange. But he's in the lineup as a center fielder or a shortstop. So even if he doesn't get it this year, get the 20, I think he'll have it by middle of May next year. So I'll have some dual eligibility there. Just a fun guy. And, obviously Rockies Park gonna buoy the average. Just another one of those guys that could be a combo 2020 guy with a little bit extra growth, and he's not overmatched. Even with how they've mixed and matched on Schaefer's team, he consistently hits at the top of the lineup, and he's in there most of the time. So I don't think he's going to be a guy that they screw around with too much next year. And there's a lot of opportunity for category growth, and he's got a lot of paths to value. So kind of guy I like to build.
I spaced on the fact that you took him, but that's just the beauty of the meatball draft, is like, now we know that Cole Carrigg's ADP is 158. Who would have thought? That's
I definitely set that market. It's just going to stay there.
Kazuma Okamoto, another barely rookie. Let's see. He's got a 106 WRC plus now, 26 homers. Man, his line's looking eerily similar to Murakami's.
Yeah, this is not what I expected at all. I mean, all along we thought this was the guy that was going to hit for average. He might hit 15. I don't know what to make of him. This is a really confusing one. BABIP's really low. Fly ball percentage is through the roof. Even though he did that a lot in Japan, I don't know. I expected him to come over and focus more on just being a contact guy. But God, strikeout rate is crazy high for him, and that was not something he did across the Pacific. He was never over 20% except for 2019, and he's at 30.3% with some pretty horrendous contact rates. Did not see that coming. He's just chasing so much and missing a lot out of the zone. So maybe it's something he settles in over the winter and has a entire off season here in the States and gets down to it, and he's back to a 270 average next year. So it could be a guy that actually has some pretty good upside. Because if he hits 20 to 23, if he's hitting 280, that's extremely helpful at third base.
Feel like he's like Jake Berger.
It's been that way. I didn't expect it to be that way.
I know. I have a lot of Okamoto. Didn't expect it for sure. Joe Mack, this might have been my favorite. Actually, I think Ryan Jeffers was maybe my favorite of the catcher picks in round 10. But Joe Mack at the end of round 12, I loved. Joe Mack versus Carter Jensen to me is honestly not even that far off, just in terms of what I would expect them to put out next year. Maybe Jensen's got more playing time a little bit. I don't know. But I like Joe Mack a lot. What do you think about that one?
I don't even think the playing time's that much in question. Just the defense is so good. Augustin's not a catcher. They know that. The power is surprising. I didn't see 12 homers coming. I did pick him up in some places, but I was thinking he was going to be an average guy that played most of the time. I've been pleasantly surprised by the power. There's a lot of room for growth in that too. BABIP's really low. Fly ball rate is less than 35%. So making a pretty good amount of zone contact especially for a catcher at 85. So he's got his best swinging strike rate too.
I know. I actually thought he was gonna hit for just empty power. But he's improved on his swinging strike rate and his contact rate over what he's doing at AAA. It's pretty remarkable. I mean, he's been pushed pretty aggressively. It used to be you'd go a decade without a prep catcher making it to the big leagues as a good catcher. And Joe Mack was a prep draft pick back in 2021.
Yeah, really fast. 4 years to the majors.
Yeah. So I think he's just a guy who's gotten better each of the past 3 years. And like you said, great defense. So
they traded Hicks. He's as safe as it comes for PT.
All right, let's lump these next two together. Spencer Jones at 181, Henry Bolte 182. I love Bolte. I've been a Spencer Jones hater for time immemorial, basically, but I definitely see what Rob sees and what Spencer Jones has been doing over the past few weeks. Do you have a favorite out of the two? Do you like them both? Would you pass on both of them? What do you think?
I like Bolte more. I don't think I would take Jones here just because I don't know what the Yankees are going to do. There were a lot of question marks with his contact ability, and the skills are fantasy friendly for sure if he hits, but We know Grisham is probably gone, but they traded for Ramos. I just don't. They still got Dominguez, and they're going to probably give him one more shot. I just don't see a way that Jones is going to play full time, even if Stanton is done. You got Judge coming back, so it's going to get pretty crowded there. That said, he could turn it on in the last month and cement himself in there. I like the Bolte pick more just because we pretty much know he's going to be in that lineup next year, and he's still going to be in that same park next year. Again, fantasy friendly skill set. Just I'm worried about his steal percentage. He's running a lot and getting caught a lot. Only 14 steals with 8 caught is kind of scary. And Kotze is one of those managers that is kind of a wild card. So when they do have a full lineup, will he be at the bottom of it, and will he be given more of a red light? But yeah, I think there's a higher chance for him to be the guy that pops off next year than Jones.
I mean, he went like 50. He went like 63 for 67 on steals the last 2 years in the minors.
Yeah.
So like, it's very surprising that he's been caught 8 times. That's probably just. I mean, I guess I would assume he would get better at that.
Yeah, the skills are there. There's tons of opportunity for growth, and they know he's part of that team next year. I think they're pretty certain of that. So
yeah, like if Bolte can do, if he can do this with the 63% ground ball rate, let's see what he can do if they can cut that a little bit. Esmerlyn Valdez, the Wizard, I guess is his nickname. I learned that from Bubba and the Bloom, which I totally dig. I thought this was a fine pick. I think I believe in Valdez's hit tool more than I believe in Spencer Jones's hit tool. Not going to run as much, obviously, but what do you think about Valdez?
I liked him as a waiver pickup. I don't think I like him going here. And remember, we're getting, this, but we're in round 14 and 15 here, and we're not starting this draft up until middle of October. So I do this. A lot of guys in this draft do this. We take some swings here. These are not, exactly where we would take these guys if we were doing this in February or March. So does Bubba take him here later on? I don't know, but the power's certainly there. He's it looks like he's going to be a really streaky dude. He's hitting a lot. He's making more contact than I expected, but the strikeout rate is still absurd. I like having him on teams right now because I got him for almost nothing. I don't think I would be willing to take him here, and I don't think you're going to have to. I think he's going to settle more in the 18 to 20 range just because of the question marks that we know are there.
Yeah, I mean, I really hope you're right. I would love for like his season to end with this current strikeout rate. Just because he's 22. Like these guys with this type of power, like they don't usually get there at 22. So I think he's gonna cut it. Like he was fine, like low 20s, AA, AAA. So we'll see though. Like it's definitely the type of thing where it could go like, if he has a bad month, he could be like Matt Wallner at AAA. So
yeah, I hope. Yeah, you're right. I hope that's how it goes though. I hope they keep him around and he continues just kind of what he's been doing. Because then I will have some next year. If he's going 14th, I probably won't.
Didier Fuentes. Don't like the market being set here, but I like the pitcher a lot.
Yeah, I think some people think of it as the market, but when we're doing full drafts, he's going to drop too, unless they pull a 180 and decide to start him, and he's amazing. I don't know, man. I don't get this guy. I don't get why everybody was drafting him. They're drafting him all over Vegas, and there was no chance he was starting. And they yanked him around. He's a 2-pitch guy. I don't like these dudes. I just, It looks tantalizing, but there's just too many ways for him not to get used the way you want him to get used. And they showed this year, despite how much they've needed a starter, they just refuse to do it. And maybe that's all part of the plan, and they're going to build him up for next year. But no, I got to see it. This is not the kind of guy I like to take as my SP 4 or 5 for sure.
Yeah,
and again,
I mean,
this is a swing. This is a swing here.
It's a total swing. I mean, it's like Fuentes is, he was the youngest player to play in the big leagues last year. Still probably one of the youngest pitchers to pitch in the big leagues this year at 21. You were talking about like where he was going, like in the main event, like this past year. I'm already picturing him, having a great spring, like 7th round Fuentes, like in the main event.
I would be thrilled with that. He was getting bought in auctions. Like he was getting actually put in starting lineups. People were paying $3-4 for him. And it was just baffling.
Trey Yesavage and River Ryan, 214, 215. I wouldn't have made either of these picks personally. I mean, I did take Roki Sasaki right after these guys, so it's like, go ahead and throw that back in my face if you want. But I'm not loving the trajectory of Yesavage, and River Ryan's like going to be 28 years old and not really proven as a big league starter next year, so not really for me.
Yeah, I wasn't going to do Ryan. Yesavage I did consider. He was on my board for my last one. The strikeout rate has been surprisingly fine, despite the perceived struggles. I was willing to take a chance there that he came back healthy. But meniscus debridement procedure, not a really scary injury. Another off season for him to grow. He's got a lot of experience already. He's somebody that I was willing to take a chance on. But
it wasn't really even it's the walks.
Yeah, the walks are bad. Yeah,
because he walked too many guys at several stops in the minors last year too. Got him under control, obviously enough to have success, especially in the postseason. But 11.8% career walk rate for Yesavage right now. So,
yeah.
Okay, this one's I'm really interested in your take on, Jake. Angel Genao. I put second base question mark because I don't know exactly where he'll be eligible heading into next year.
Yeah, really.
But interesting that Genao went over Travis Basallo. Certainly from like a pedigree standpoint. I don't necessarily disagree with it, but just curious your thoughts on how that's going to all shake out.
I think it's a fun swing. That Ryan's MO is definitely high upside. So Ryan Venancio, he takes a lot of guys like this. I mean, he's ready. He looks like a major league hitter already, no question. I am really impressed. He grew a ton this year in the minors. We love the Guardians love to draft middle infield prospects, so we've always had a ton of them. And he was kind of like on the precipice of being a guy that was talked about, but you didn't really hear about him that much aside from shows like yours that would actually dive that deep. But he grew up. I was shocked when Fangraphs came out with their July prospect updates, and he shot up to like 11 or 12. I didn't realize people actually realized how good he was at that point yet. So the fact that he's performing this well this early, really the only question is, right, like you said, where's he going to play? He's blocked by Basallo. He's blocked by Jose. He's perceivably blocked by Rocchio. So is he going to be in a 4-man rotation like they're doing now, or are they going to find some other way to get Rocchio out of there? Which I don't know, because he's also shown a lot of maturity this year and dealt with some struggles and really grew. So I am really curious what they're going to do. There's no question he belongs. I don't have any concerns about him. And Basallo should not have gone before him just because of how much he's fallen off and how his playing time has fallen off. He's definitely not starting against a lot of lefties right now. So it's a fun pick. Do I think he, if we were doing the whole draft, would he have gone there? Definitely not. But it's definitely there's a lot of chance for him to cement himself as a 5-category guy. Like, he's got some pop. He's got a decent amount of speed, and he already has a major league approach. So yeah,
I mean, the only knock really is just the ground ball rate, and he's not he's not like a burner. Like, he's not a guy who's ever like tried to steal 20, 30 bases. Like, he's more kind of in that teens.
He's a teens, yeah.
So like, if he can just get the ground ball rate to like 47%, 45%, that'd be huge. Currently at 8 games at second, 6 games at third. So see how that goes. Last 2 guys, Walbert, Urena, pick 220, Max Clark, 221. I know like Bubba was getting crap for the Urena pick. I was legitimately considering Urena in this round. I know that he's an odd duck in that he prevents runs despite walking everybody. Max Clark hasn't quite gotten to the power yet, but a lot to like there. Any thoughts on those last 2?
Yeah, I had Clark in consideration, but in retrospect, I'm kind of happy that I didn't end up taking him, because I don't know. I've seen pretty much nothing so far. He looks like he's going to need some more time. Urena is it is insane that he's been able to succeed the way he has this year. He's doesn't even have a like massive K percentage to balance out that walk rate. Yeah, what does he got? Like a 10 K minus walk. That's brutal for a guy that you're going to make your SP5, but with the velo, the upside is there for maybe a little bit of growth. And I don't know how much he was trolling Ryan with that pick, or how fully serious he was with it. I didn't quite catch that response from him. So, but I know he likes him just because he has him this year.
Well, I know it's I would just caution people, like, not all these pitching prospects get to the big leagues with the same amount of reps at the same amount of levels and everything. And like, they don't all arrive with the same amount of polish, the same amount of coaching. Yeah. And I would say Urena is having success as a starter in the big leagues right now at 22, despite coming up through the Angels system.
With 14 innings at AAA.
Yeah, like, I mean, I just think he's, when you got the velocity and you're having these type of results, I just think it's notable. I mean, guys cannot barrel him. Like, the ground ball rate is definitely there to stay. So I think he does a lot of things well. Like, the whip is definitely my main concern. He kind of almost feels like Jose Soriano like a year and a half ago. But I'm not going to be shying. I'm not going to be shying away from you right now, I will say.
It's hard to argue with velo, and guys can always turn a walk rate around with experience.
Absolutely. Jake, this has been a blast, and I really appreciate you taking your Wednesday night out to talk about it with me. Anything you want to say before we sign off here?
No, I loved it, man. I love that we get to do this draft together. 5 years now. It's such a fun thing to put together and to watch everybody build for the whole community. I joked before, we're giving everybody free content, but I do view it as something we do as a great service to the industry. And it sounds magnanimous, but it really gets this industry has changed so much since when I started listening to fantasy radio like 15 years ago, where everybody turned everything off at the end of September and didn't come back to this until end of January. And it's so great to be part of this hobby now where it's year round. And this is one of the things that makes it year round. So I'm happy to be a part of it. I love that Rob does it or wanted to do it 5 years ago. And I love that everybody jumped on board. And I love that you've been a part of it for 5 years. That I really appreciate having gotten to know you over the last few years and how much you supported our pod early on when it actually was alive. So thanks for having me on, James.
That was all very well said. I appreciate all that. I mean, I totally agree about the too early meatball draft. I mean, it's just something that kind of gets you looking forward to the next season every single year. So love doing that, and always enjoy our times hanging out in Vegas the past few years. So hope to do that again with you.
Yeah, hope to
sometime in 2027. Hopefully.
Yeah.
But great stuff, Jake. I really appreciate it, and thanks everyone for listening to the RotoWire Fantasy Baseball Podcast brought to you by Circa.